Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Bionis from Mission Start Podcast, and if you enjoy listening to us, not only on the website but also on iTunes, be sure to check us out on Stitcher as well. Stitcher is an iPhone, Android app, also on other smartphones. You can download for free, and also registration is for free too. It's an app that you can listen to any podcast that is on there without ever downloading a file. When you register with Stitcher, be sure to put in promo code Mission Start or Conover or both, and you get to automatically be entered into a $100 prize every month from Stitcher. So be sure to check us out, support us, and we'll support you guys.
Everything you need to know survive キュンとする一瞬の恋が輝く宝石みたいに続く
Hello, everybody. It's Anthony Bionis from Mission Start Podcast, and we have another episode of the Conover. Your whenever podcast goes up, podcast about conventions we've been to recently. With me today is Jeremy,
Hey, how's it going?
and he's going to be talking about his time at BentCon. That was held in I want to say Berkeley, or was it
Burbank.
Burbank. Gotcha. So what I read and what I've seen, BentCon, this is the first lesbian gay anime convention.
It's the first one I know of. It's lesbian. Well, it's LBGT specific, and that's not to say that regular people can't go, but it is definitely about. I guess you could say kind of an overlooked culture when it comes to fandom.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, so describe to me when you first arrived there. What was the first thing you saw?
Not a heck of a lot. That really surprised me, considering I arrived at around about 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that even though it was the convention's second day, things really don't start until noon. So I hung out at a friend's room for a little bit, and I sat around until noon. I went downstairs and things were relatively quiet, and I was really astonished. Given it's a small convention, I don't expect it to be wall-to-wall people, but even for the small Burbank Convention Center at the Marriott there wasn't many people around, and I ran into one of the owners named Sean. And I asked him, what in the world is going on? Where is everybody? And he looks me right in the face with complete honesty and says, it's gay light savings time. And I just blinked because I wasn't sure if he was pulling my leg. And he says, gay people tend to get up like towards the afternoon. We do a lot of partying in the night hours, so people just don't get up before noon a lot. So things should pick up towards the afternoon. And that's the point where I felt comfortable laughing because I really thought he was yanking my chain.
Okay. I suppose I've ever heard it, but
that was a first for me too. I ran into somebody else and he says, "Where are they?" It's gay light savings time. He just looks at me and says, "Oh, he gets it. I don't."
Oh wow, awesome. Now how big was the hotel, like relatively to the other conventions you've been to?
The hotel is moderate. It's not as big as like the JW Marriott or the Hilton in downtown San Jose, but it's 9 floors. It looks to be about maybe about 300 yards long, I would guess. Decent rooms all around.
Okay, gotcha. How was registration? Like, how did that process go?
It's a very small booth. There's only like 4 guys behind it, but there was never a line more than about 5 people deep. So whatever they're doing is very appropriate for what they do. Even when I walked up and introduced myself, they couldn't find me in the computer, but it took them only 2 minutes to type me up a badge complete with Mission Star Podcast on it and hand it to me and send me on my way.
That's awesome.
So they were very diligent about keeping things rolling.
That's cool. Yeah, with small conventions, like when it comes to those type of deals, it isn't that much of a big deal as, say, if Anime or Anime Expo, and it's a bigger convention because there's so many people trying to get in.
Right. I'd say this con was only about 3,000 or 4,000 people, but for what it was, they ran things fairly well. I mean, there's even a picture you will find in my, in our gallery for BentCon that shows a couple people leaning on the registration desk, and nothing took a serious amount of time.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that stood out to me, I was looking through the gallery, is that there were some really good costumes, like there at the con.
Yeah, I guess that's something that can be lost as a straight person going to a gay and lesbian comic book convention, is it's still a comic book convention, and a lot of these people are very likely to be found at any comic convention. This is just the one specifically catered to them.
Yeah, I was really digging some of the cosplays that you put up. Was was it more of an emphasis on comic books cosplay, or was there a good mix between anime and comic book cosplay?
It was primarily, I'd say it's primarily steampunk and comic book. Anime is not shunned by any means, but as with any convention, when you label it towards a specific fandom, you're more likely to get that particular fandom.
I see. Speaking of which, about cosplays, walking around, was there any particular one that just stood out to you?
Yeah, I took pictures of that one as well. It was the some guy who looked like a celebrity to me, but I couldn't place where I'd seen him. He was dressed up as the classic '70s Super Friends Lex Luthor.
Nice.
With a purple shirt and the green trim.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really cool.
I didn't expect to find that at all. And there was a really insane looking, was it DC Static?
Oh, yes. Oh, man, that Static Shock looks so good.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Awesome. Walking around the convention floor, what was the things you noticed? It could be people, could be, things you might saw from the staff or anything to that nature.
Even for a gay convention, there's a lot more penises than I thought I would see. Fortunately, none of them were like, 3D and waggling in front of me or anything,
Right.
but, it's just... It was one of those things where my wife had staffed here, and she warned me that I couldn't bring the kids because these are gay people being gay people. I mean, they're allowed to be, at least at this comic book convention, as loud and proud as they want to be and discuss subjects that matter to them. So that's their freedom.
Right.
And, even though she had told me, it still kind of took me sideways as to the sheer amount of stuff I had saw. I wasn't looking for it. What can I say? But there was even a main stage for a while that had some live models in either in costume or just doing poses that they were allowed to, that they were just sitting around and drawing. And that was a bit new to me. I'd seen conventions with main stages, but not ones that had live models for people to practice with.
Oh, so like figure drawing. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really cool. The question were they in costume or were they nude or?
The few times I saw him, there was a guy dressed up as a gender bend Lara Croft, and yeah, he was in costume.
Okay.
Generally as much costume as Lara Croft is comparatively to guys, so just think Lara Croft in her khaki shorts, shirtless.
Right.
Pecs,
Okay, that's interesting. As somebody who, it would be really cool, and not to tout this idea at the anime convention because I really feel it'd be pretty cool as an artist, but like it would be cool if they had figure drawing at anime conventions, like because a lot of people who do go to anime conventions, some are good artists, especially in Artist Alley, and it'd be really cool to see since everybody's in costume already, like if they took a good 3 minutes, 5 minutes of just standing there and pose while people draw them. It'd be pretty cool.
That actually, now that you mention it, I worry about it at anime conventions, considering how deep the art community is there. It could be very contentious, but a good prize for just about any convention for say a masquerade would be to get one of your featured artists, be it comic book or anime, and have them do a live sketch of you in costume and sign it. That would actually be a unique piece.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And I'm only saying it because A, I'm an artist, and B, I've been taking figure drawing this past quarter, and I'm learning.
I'm an artist. I'm just a damn critic.
Right. How was the food places around the convention center? How was that set up, or did you have to go out of your way to find somewhere to eat?
You have to go a little bit. See, the hotel itself has the only eatery right on the same block, and that is a Daily Grill, which anybody that's gone to an anime store can tell you. It's quality food, but it's going to average you about $15 a plate. It's a hair's above what I would consider acceptable for, taking groups of people because they would start complaining about cost. Me personally, I would do it, but I realize I'm working with others a lot of the time.
Right.
But if you walk half a block from the middle of the block to the street, right across the street is the Burbank Airport entrance, and right next to that is a McDonald's, a Denny's, a Subway, and 5 other cheap eateries.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you do have a few selections, and of course there's the usual of having something ordered and delivered.
Good selection. Good selection indeed.
Actually, if I can back up a minute to the hotel,
Mhm.
the hotel is surprisingly accommodating. The Burbank Marriott out there.
Mhm.
I my wife's friend, he agreed to let her stay in the room. When she got there, he had a junior suite complete with a living room separate from the bedroom,
Mhm.
and he didn't order it.
What?
He didn't order it. So I was listening to the story, and they said that they gave him the room, and he walked up, and he was surprised to find this because he expected a standard two-bed room like every other convention.
Mhm.
What they did was, without asking, they apparently saw that they had accidentally overbooked, and they didn't tell him. They just plain gave him a free upgrade. He didn't have to complain. He didn't have to make any motions like a lot of people did. They just plain gave him the room.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's much more accommodating than I'm used to.
Is that them being very nice, or is that like an accidental like, oh, we have to do this because we have no other choice?
I think it is literally a case of, they just plain screwed up. They recognized it, and rather than create a scene, they just upgraded him.
Mm. Wow, that's really cool. I wish that would happen more often.
No bones about it. He was a staffer. He was the guy in charge of the gaming tables, but he never introduced himself as such. So they just thought he was a regular attendee and, helped the brother out.
That's cool. That's really awesome. Speaking of staff, how was the staff there?
Staff is very helpful. They are actually walking around. They are keeping a very close eye on things. And that may be simpler in their case because everything is in one building, but at the same time, they are actually making sure that you're finding what you need to. I mean, I went to the David Yost panel, and there was a lady up front who had a staff badge. She saw me walking up just so I could take pictures, and she cleared out her seat so I could have it.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept trying to tell her, sit down, and she just said, no.
Oh, that's awesome. It's really cool to hear. And I'm really glad for people like that to be working at anime conventions that are staffing, because we've been to many before, and like you'll get those that are great, but you'll get those that are kind of awful at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's great to hear. That's pretty cool. What were some of the panels you attended to?
My window was only one day, so it was kind of short. But I sat down at David Yost's panel. He was a guest of honor, and he played Billy from the original Power Rangers.
Nice.
He talked about his trials and tribulations being a gay actor and how he was brought up in a very conservative family with staunch Christian values. And he went through an identity crisis. He did not identify as gay his entire time he was on the show, which was, I guess those who know, he was there across 3 series.
Mm. Wow.
And he kept getting questioned as to his sexuality, and he thought he was straight at the time. And then at one point he had, I guess, finally had enough, and he left so suddenly that they had to just write the character out of the show entirely.
Mm.
So he went to Mexico. He spent a year down there just kind of relaxing and doing some self-discovery, and he realized he actually was gay.
Wow. I didn't even know that, and I've grew up watching the Power Rangers for a long time.
I didn't know he was gay until I was literally sitting in the panel listening to him. I just assumed he was like Tom Kinney and was a guest.
Yeah. Wow.
That was the other thing. They had the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants as a guest. And no, he's not gay. He's married, so.
Right. That's interesting. Was there any other panels you were able to attend to?
No, I took a couple pictures of schedules. A lot of it had to do with being gay within fandom, or how, how their fandoms may be able to relate to them a little better. Mm-hmm. A near constant question I heard throughout the floor of different guests and everything is, people would ask their stars why they think there aren't more, why there aren't more gay cultures or gay characters in the culture. And it was kind of interesting to listen to, because most of the stars had the same answer, was that they think that there is a lot of gays in culture. They just wish they wouldn't be forced characters.
Yeah.
The characters always tend to be so flamboyant and over the top. None of them are just gay.
Yeah. It was funny actually you mentioned that. Like recently, was it in DC and Marvel? Like they have just recently been bringing out, gay characters or transgender characters recently.
They both bring out a steady stream of gay characters, but they do, for the most part, happen to be flamboyant. I mean, some of the most natural... I guess the most natural reveal of one was North Star, but that was about 10 years ago, and since then, gay characters, people are treating... Or the companies themselves are treating it as such a big deal when everyone is just asking the same question. These people are, why aren't they just gay?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting to think about, because in our fandom, we never really give a thought, is this character gay or not? And it's like we don't particularly care at the same time. If, trying.
I do to a degree. I mean, even in anime, it's not done well when there are some where the gay character is in like a pink speedo with a purple butterfly mask and a cape, and that's all he wears.
Yeah.
The only character I can think of that just revealed as gay simply because they were gay was Karma from the New Mutants, who nobody knew she was gay until she just hit on a girl. Mm-hmm. Which is probably about the best way you can reveal it because it surprised people, but at the same time, that's how life is. You never know sometimes until you ask.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Not everyone wears a bright purple boa.
Exactly. Was there a cosplay contest at BenCon?
There was a costume contest, but it was later in the day. I had to leave by mid-afternoon so I could pick up my kids. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get a chance to review it myself. But judging from what I saw, like I said, there are just as much quality cosplayers here as there are in other conventions. So it was probably pretty interesting.
Okay. When you were scouting out the area or the convention center floor, were there any other rooms that were there as far as like, a dealer's hall, a game room, anything to that nature?
Okay, well, the place, what Burbank calls a convention center is a hall. It is pretty small by most people's knowledge, I would say. There was a central hallway, and the gaming tables were off the hallway itself. There wasn't a separate room for them. Mm-hmm. Artist Alley was pretty short. I'd say it was only about 6 to 8 tables. The dealer's hall was one decent-sized ballroom. Mm-hmm. The main ballroom was used for guests of honor. There were 2 more ballrooms in the back, smaller ballrooms that were basically used for panels.
Okay.
And for those of you that have heard this show and my other one, I'm sorry. I'm trying to rein back my use of the word basically because I do throw that out.
That's all good. Okay, that's interesting. So overall, I mean, like from the sounds of things, it sounded like it was a 1-day con, but it was very chill and like still pretty interesting experience for you.
Well, it's actually a 3-day. I was only there for the 1. Yeah, it's a 3-day con, and I would say it harkens it harkens a lot to Anime Los Angeles. I mean, this is a genre and fan convention, but a lot of it is basically a gigantic social exercise and a good reason to party. They had the best poolside party I've seen at a convention.
Mm-hmm. What anime convention doesn't have a party?
Oh no, a lot of them have parties, but I mean, this was actually the best pool party I've seen at a con because there were tables set up. They had a DJ.
Oh wow.
They had extra tables sitting around fire pits that were set up by the hotel, but granted, they were allowed use of them all, whereas a lot of places would rope them off and say, don't touch. Mm-hmm. And, later in the afternoon, the music started kicking up, more people were gathering, and 2 women and a man dressed up as mer people were poolside or in the pool.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really cool. Yeah. Go on.
No, I mean, that was literally the beginning and end of what I saw there because I was standing out there just thinking, this is really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Did you ask them like how they made their costumes or like how they were able to maneuver in that?
No, unfortunately, she was coming out about the same, or these people were coming out and setting up about the same time I was prepping to leave. So I had enough time to sit down and take a couple photos before I started moving on. Based on what I could see going through the pictures, it looks like it's custom molds that are basically large amounts of latex and rubber fastened, I'm guessing, by some kind of ties at the waist.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Because those were really well done. I was looking at that. I was like, wow.
Yeah, somebody's trying to recruit for mermaids for Anime Los Angeles, I saw, too.
Oh, no way. That'd be really cool.
I have no idea if it's the same lady, but somebody's trying to do it.
Nice. Cool. How much were you had it for press, but how much were they going for as far as, like, for the weekend?
I don't know. How much were BenCon badges? It's $25 for a day. Sounds like it was $50 for the weekend.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's comparable to other cons. Mm-hmm. It was $60 at the door for the weekend. So yeah, it's very comparable.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. It's pretty much average price. Average price for to get into a 3-day con.
Yeah, but it was a very friendly and welcoming place. I had no idea what to expect because my wife swore, I'm 270 pounds, bald, and relatively angry looking. I was going to get hit on left and right. So, I found it to be a relatively relaxed atmosphere.
That's cool. That's awesome. Overall, your thoughts on BenCon?
it's actually a fun place to check in and step in for at least a little while and see what the day is like, because a lot of people they still dismiss a lot of the times gay gatherings as just gay gatherings. This is not. They want everybody and anybody to come out, because even if you're not gay, you may get further insight into what kind of people they are.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And I'd say most of my experience is in spending time with them. They're a lot like everybody else.
That's really cool. I really, that's really cool to hear. And if I had the ability, and I say this of any other Conover I speak to, whoever is far from me, I would love to come by and check it out. I think, yeah, I mean, I would totally would.
I'd say it's well worth it because, like I said, a lot of people just never take the time to think about, what gay people would want to see out of a convention. And I got a chance to see it, and 90% of it is just what anybody else wants to see. It's just more guys.
Oh, that is awesome. One last question. Was there any particular moment that just like happened as far as like an anime convention moment, but like that this kind of happened in front of you, and you kind of stood there like, what just happened?
A little bit of surrealism, because I was standing around Artist Alley and just kind of talking to different people. There was one lady who was doing anime-style prints of a lot of Tom Hiddleston and Loki and everything, and I bought a Rogue from her because Rogue is like, not only is she one of my favorite X-Men characters, but she was in one of my favorite costumes in the history of the character.
Nice.
And I was just kind of palling around talking to her. Then I stepped over to another table, and I was talking to the guy who played the voice of Shockwave in the latest Transformers Beast Hunters, as well as played in like a bunch of other stuff like Drax the Destroyer and Ultimate Spider-Man.
Nice.
So I had a long conversation about what he thought about this versus Kamikaze and what he was up to. And then as I was standing there, I gave my goodbyes. I turned around, was getting ready to leave, and the lady who played Ivanova in Babylon 5 walked right by me. So I was just, it was one of those weird moments of not being starstruck, I would say, but just going, wow, you're here, and wow, you're here, and wow, you're here too.
Yo, name dropping.
It was just literally one of those cases of, the things that happens.
Yes, that's pretty cool. Just think of it in 5-10 years. Like, you're going to be walking around like, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I know this guy. Oh, I know Lone North. Yeah, we're good buddies.
Oh, yeah, even the guy who played one of the kids on Land of the Lost was there at a booth. And he tried to engage me because he saw I was about the proper age, and he tried to ask me what I thought of the show, and I tried to very politely explain to him I didn't watch the show. It was not my thing, dude. Mm-hmm. But,
Gotcha.
I did my best to be, like, super nice simply because I didn't want to blow the man off. He was trying to engage me and get me to probably buy a print or something. It's not my show.
Right. That's cool. That's great to hear. Thank you, Jeremy, for taking your time on this Sunday football day filled to talk about anime conventions and awesome stuff.
Yeah, you say that as I watch the Patriots beat the Texans.
Where can they find you on the internet?
Doing a pretty regular weekly podcast for Mission Start called the Rollin' 20s. It's all mostly about comic books, but lately we've been breaking into general culture. Mm-hmm. It'll get back to comic books next week because we're talking Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
I'm on cosplay.com under the screen handle Freight. A lot of people are engaging me there because they're looking for rooms for Anime Los Angeles or Anime Expo already.
Wow.
Let me see. I'm definitely going to be at both those conventions. I'm trying to see if I can get time to get to WonderCon because I found out that's back in Los Angeles next year. Mm-hmm. Or Anaheim, I should say. Mm-hmm. I might be at Fanime, although that's more dicey because I started a new job recently, and as you can imagine, until you guys pay me, I got to answer the guys who actually sign checks first. Mm-hmm. That's about it in the short term. I could run off a list, but it'd be here a while.
I hear ya. You can find me on Twitter at Defective Naruto. You can find this podcast along with Jeremy's Rolling 20 podcast on our website at missionstarpodcast.com. Check out our latest reviews and previews on our site. Our video content has been getting more and more sporadic, or been more activity-wise, and then that's me doing the back work. But yeah, we've been busy. It's the end of the new year, and we're getting towards the end of another month.
Affectionate.
And we're going to be much busy in the coming years, wanting to get better and more badasser. Anywho, Thank you again, Jeremy, for this podcast. And with that, I will bid you all adieu, and I'll see y'all next time.
Later, all.
All right. Have a good night.